7 o'clock on Wednesday, July 29th, 2020, and I'll call the meeting to order. And this is a special council meeting to hold a number of planning applications live on YouTube, and with the participation of the applicants and possibility of a number of community members that would like to speak to those applications. So I'd like to ask council if there's any declaration of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof. And seeing none from other members of council, I do have one conflict from myself, and that's regarding application B01-2020, and that's the consent for Patrick and Stephanie Sanders at 5333 Calvert Drive, and that's due to Stephanie Sanders, my sister. So at that time, I'll be handing over the what I like to call the virtual gavel over to Deputy Mayor Hendricks so she could chair that portion of the meeting. And I will note that Councillor Brody is not able to attend the meeting tonight. He's busy in the fields, and hopefully he'll be able to get all his writing done, and I hope everybody else is able to as well. So this is the first meeting that we're holding for planning applications online, and it's a virtual meeting due to the declared emergency in order to keep everyone safe, and we're taking this measure to help stop the spread of COVID-19. Although this is a virtual meeting, it will be recorded and streamed online and published in accordance with our council electronic recording of meetings policy. So it is being live streamed on YouTube right now, and if you're watching, welcome to our council meeting. So due to this pandemic and the requirements for social distancing to keep you safe, we will not be allowed for public attendance at this meeting. Normally attended by attending an open public meeting, the municipality of Adelaide Metcalfe, you are consenting to your image, voice, and comments being recorded and published. And like today, we are recording, so that consent is given as we're recording and live streaming it right now. So myself as chair and our clerk, Jennifer Turk, we do have the discretion and authority at any time to direct the termination or interruption of the live streaming, and that such direction will be given in exceptional circumstances where deemed relevant, and those circumstances may include instances where contents of debate is considered misleading, defamatory, or potentially inappropriate to be published. So hopefully we won't have to do that. I know that typically where everyone's in line in the public gallery, and I wish that I know that will continue to be the case tonight. So with that being said, we do have 5 applications in front of us. 3 of those are in the Committee of Adjustment, and 2 of those will be public meetings. So we do need a motion from council to resolve that council convene as the Committee of Adjustment for the purpose of hearing minor variance application A02-2020. And that's for 28645 Dolphin Road, A04-2020, and that is for 6 Evergreen Court, and B01-2020 for 5333 Calvert Drive. And that will be meeting at 7:05.
So moved.
That's Councilor McKinnon, seconded by Deputy Mayor Hendricks. All those in favor? Councilor Clark? You're muted.
I raised my hand. I raised my hand as per the more section of the Zoom call. So I don't know if you can see that. Can you see it?
And just to know, Councillor Clark is here. You won't be able to see her face, and that's just because rural internet is not in our favor sometimes. So she'll be able to listen the entire time, and if she is able to turn on her video during those times. So with that being said, our first application, and hopefully I threw that out long enough to get to that 7:05 mark. Our first application is A02-2020 minor variance for Mark and Leanne Corman at 28645 Dolphin Road. And I believe they're coming in on telephone. Is that correct, Greg?
Sure, that is correct. Yes, I can bring them in on telephone now if you'd like.
Excellent.
Hello. Yep, I'm here.
Excellent. So this is Mark Corman then?
Yes, it is.
Excellent. You can hear okay?
I can hear okay, yes.
Perfect. So before we begin with these applications, I'm just going to state that the purpose of the following public hearings for Adelaide Metcalfe Committee of Adjustment are to give members of the Committee of Adjustment, as well as the general public, an opportunity to hear all interested persons with respect to the applications before the committee this evening. The public is advised that comments expressed and written material presented are a matter of public record available for full disclosure. If a person or a public body files an appeal of decision made this evening to the local planning appeal tribunal without having made a written submission to the committee, the tribunal may dismiss the appeal. And if you wish to be notified of the decision, please contact Jennifer Turk, our clerk, by email or call the office. I'll hand it over to our planner, Aaron Besh, to go through the planning report. And then Mark, I'll allow you to speak to the application.
Sounds good.
Okay, Aaron.
Thank you, Mayor Smith. So the purpose of minor variance A02-2020 is to seek relief from the township zoning bylaw. And I'm sorry, as soon as that opens, my screen goes away. There we go. We're looking for relief from the township zoning bylaw as it relates to the maximum height requirement for an accessory building. Specifically, the applicant is requesting the following: permission for the construction of an accessory building with a maximum height of 8 meters or 26 feet from grade to peak, whereas the maximum building height for an accessory building is 5 meters or 16.4 feet, according to the zoning bylaw. The applicant is requesting that relief be granted to permit the construction of a combined detached garage and pool shed that is approximately 1,500 square feet in size. The applicant has advised that the increased height of the proposed accessory building is required to accommodate 12-foot garage doors to store a travel trailer and a boat within. The proposed location of the accessory building would allow the applicant to utilize the existing driveway access onto Dolphin Road. The applicant also intends to use the rear portion of the structure as a cabana for their existing pool. The lands contain a 1-story single detached dwelling and a pool shed. The dwelling and attached garage is approximately 25 feet in height from grade to peak and approximately 3,120 square feet in size. Property is serviced by private well and septic system, neither of which will be impacted by the proposed structure. The subject lands are designated residential in our official plan and a site-specific urban residential zone, which permits single detached dwellings and accessory uses. Planning staff have evaluated the application based on the 4 tests of minor variance, and we are satisfied that the proposal meets the 4 tests of the Planning Act required in order to grant a minor variance. The application was circulated to the prescribed agencies as well as surrounding property owners. The township's chief building official recommended 2 comments. Number 1, that eave and trough be installed on the accessory structure to direct water away from lot lines. And number 2, as required by the building bylaw, an up-to-date survey will be required to be submitted showing the proposed accessory structure at the time of application for building permit. The drainage superintendent advised of no concerns, as well as the St. Clair Region Conservation Authority. We have received 1 comment from the public, which was the landowners at 32 Hofnagel Crescent, just on the other side of the, sort of behind the applicant's home and down a little bit. And they have advised that they have no objections to the application. So my recommendation this evening is for minor variance A02-2020 be granted subject to the following condition. Number 1, that the subject accessory building include eave and trough along the lengths of the building's fascia, and the related downspout be directed away from any neighboring property to the satisfaction of the township's chief building official. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Aaron. Mark, would you like to add at all?
Sorry, you cut out there.
Sorry, is there anything you'd like to add and provide any new information for council or the Committee of Adjustment to consider?
Nope, that was very good.
All right. Is there any questions or comments from the Committee of Adjustment? Yes, Mayor Hendricks.
Yeah, I kind of think we have a lot of these. Trailers are getting bigger, and I just, nothing about this application in particular, but the issue with the eaves troughs and the height of outbuildings is constantly in front of us. So maybe we should consider sometime working on our bylaws around those items.
Okay, Councillor McKinnon.
Just a question through you, Mayor Curtis, to Planner Aaron. On the planning evaluation report, you have about the eaves and the troughs, but you also have an up-to-date survey, but it wasn't part of the conditions, and I wondered if it should be part of the conditions.
Through Mayor Smith to Councillor McKinnon, it will be captured at time of building permit. So we don't need to include it as a condition in this situation because it will be captured in a later process. Yep.
Thank you, Aaron.
Okay, so if I'm following this correctly, this is our first time doing this online. I think the next step will be a little bit of a recess to allow any members of the public that are watching live on YouTube to be able to call in or join on the Zoom call. So we're going to have a 5-minute recess, and during that time, there'll be information on the screen to show you how to be able to have any of your input there. So this is typically when I would ask for any members of the gallery to say if they're in favor or not in favor of the application. So we'll have that 5-minute recess right now, and then we'll come back and we'll hear if there's any new information, and then council will make a decision. All right, I think we are back now. So did we have anyone that joined us or called in at all? I'm seeing none. Okay. So with that, is there any other questions from the Committee of Adjustment before we make the motion? Seeing none. So the recommendation is for approval with the one condition. So do I have a mover and seconder for that?
I'll move that, Mayor Smith.
Okay, Councillor Clark, second by Councillor McKinnon. All those in favor?
In favor.
Perfect, and that's carried. Okay, thank you so much, Mark, for attending and accommodating this unique circumstance that we're in and joining by telephone on our Zoom call.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, and I'm sure Jennifer will be in touch with you with the information regarding the appeal period and all that kind of stuff. Okay, thank you so much for joining. So our next application is A04-2020, and it's a minor variance for Peter and Ann. Help me out, Jen. Vernican? Vernican. Sorry. And do we have Peter on the call here, I believe, and he'll be joining us soon. I normally ask how to pronounce everybody's names before we get here, but it's different when you're at home. Excellent. Peter, are you able to hear us and see us? I think you just got your...
Yeah. Yes, I can see you.
Perfect. That's great. And what I'll do is I'll hand it over to Aaron to go through the planning report, and then I'll ask if you have anything you'd like to add.
No, do you want me to put the video on?
So there we go. Aaron, take it away.
Thank you, Mayor Smith. The purpose of minor variance A04-2020 is to seek relief from the township zoning bylaw as it relates to the maximum height requirement for an accessory building. Specifically, the applicant is requesting the following: permission for the construction of an accessory building with a maximum height of 6.1 meters or 20 feet from grade to peak, whereas the maximum building height for an accessory building is 5 meters or 16.4 feet, according to our zoning bylaw. The applicant is requesting that relief be granted to permit the construction of an 896 square foot detached garage and hobby shop. The applicant has advised that the increased height of the proposed building is required to accommodate a 13 to 14 foot garage door for a travel trailer. The applicant has requested that the additional driveway be permitted off of Evergreen Court to access the structure separately. The lands contain a one-story single detached dwelling with a garden shed. The dwelling and attached garage is approximately 6 meters or 19.7 feet in height from grade to peak, and approximately 1,615 square feet in size. The property is serviced by a private well and septic system, again, neither of which will be affected by the proposed location of the structure. Subject lands are designated residential in our official plan and within the urban residential zone of the zoning bylaw, which permits single detached dwellings and accessory uses. Planning staff have evaluated the application based on the 4 tests of minor variance and are satisfied that the proposal meets the 4 tests. The application was circulated to the prescribed agencies as well as surrounding landowners. The township's chief building official recommended the following: that eaves and trough be installed on the accessory structure to direct water away from the lot lines. As well, required by the building bylaw, an up-to-date survey will be required to be submitted showing the proposed accessory structure at the time of the application for building permit. The township's drainage superintendent advised of no concerns. The township's public works manager, Mr. Cahill, advised of no concerns with the proposed second entrance onto Evergreen Court. And the St. Clair Region Conservation Authority indicated no concerns with the application either. At the time of this report and at the time of this meeting, no comments or concerns have been received by the public. That being said, my recommendation for this application this evening is to be granted, subject to the following condition. Number 1, that the subject accessory building include eaves and trough along the lengths of the building's fascia, and the related downspout be directed away from any neighboring property to the satisfaction of the township's chief building official. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Aaron. Peter or Anne, do you have anything you'd like to add at all?
Do you have anything you want to add?
No, no at this time.
Okay, thank you so much. Any members of the Committee of Adjustment, do you have any questions or comments at all? Greg, could you have it so I can see? Yeah, there we go. Excellent. From the Committee of Adjustment.
Mayor Smith, if I may, I'd just like to say that I think that on that street, on Evergreen Street, we approved one similar to this request. I believe it was last year. So I think it's consistent what we've allowed in that neighborhood. So I am in support of it. That's all.
Yeah, and I'd like to just echo the comments of Councillor Clark. There are, I think, further down the road on Evergreen at the end of the cul-de-sac there is a very large secondary building or accessory building at the end that is much larger than what is being proposed here. So I don't see any issue with it. Councilor McKinnon or Deputy Mayor Hendricks, do you have any questions or comments at all?
I have no problems with the application.
Okay, excellent. So Peter and Anne, it sounds like everything's good to go, but we have to take that 5-minute recess to allow anybody that's watching live on YouTube to call in. They need to do the comments. So we're going to go with that 5-minute recess again. So just hold tight until we make that decision.
Okay.
Alrighty, and we're back. And I was just wondering, did we receive any input from the members of public at all? Seeing Jen shake her head no. And it looks like we either lost Peter and Anne or they're back in as attendees. There they are. Perfect. So with that, I'm assuming that we will be going ahead with the approval with the one condition as recommended. We have a mover and seconder for that. Okay, we have Councillor McKinnon and Deputy Mayor Hendricks. All those in favor? And we assume Councillor, oh, we're missing Councillor Clark. Aren't we? Yeah, we're missing a councillor. Anyways, that's approved. Don't you worry. There's 3 people still in the call. That's approved. And Jennifer will be in touch with the notice of decision that outlines the appeal period and all that information. Okay. And you're on mute, Peter, so I cannot hear you. There we go.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much for joining in.
Okay, you're welcome.
All right. Are we able to get Councillor Clark back? Because I have a conflict of interest on the next one, so we need her.
Mr. Mayor, I just reached out to Sue. She's trying to get back on.
Well, this is a fun little intermission. Anybody have any stories or jokes they want to say? No?
You're on your own, Mayor Curtis.
Did we lose somebody else? We also lost Marianne. What's going on?
Well, a heavy rain just went through our place here. Now, whether that's knocked their video out, I'm not sure.
Wonder if we can take maybe a 5-minute recess.
Let's throw that thing back up there. We'll take another 5-minute recess.
Okay, thank you. Now, Mr. Mayor Smith, I do see that Councillor Hendricks may have joined as an attendee as well. She should.
Okay.
So I'll put the screen back up here now and we'll mute everyone.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, it looks like we have Sue on the phone now and she's in. Sue, just to confirm?
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay,
yes, I'm in. I can hear you.
thank you.
Sorry, I
Okay.
had to call in. My internet's still not working.
And I believe I see, there's Marianne. Okay. Well, there we go. If that's any sign that we need some infrastructure dollars for rural internet and broadband across the county, I don't know what it is. Let's send that link off to Minister McNaughton and a few other folks to let them know what we're dealing with out here in Adelaide Metcalfe. So with that, the next planning application is B01 2020, and it's a consent for Patrick and Stephanie Sanders at 5333 Calvert Drive, and I've declared a conflict of interest on that. So I think Greg's gonna do something to get rid of my little Brady box square, and Marianne, Councillor or Deputy Mayor Hendricks is gonna take over.
Okay. Yep, Curtis is gone, and we're are Patrick and Stephanie Sanders online?
Yep. I'm gonna bring them in.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, that's you, Patrick?
Yes,
Okay.
it is.
Okay, well, we're here to discuss consent B01 2020 for Patrick and Stephanie, and I will, Aaron will first go over the application, and then we'll ask you if you have anything further to tell us. So I'll hand it over to Aaron to do the explanation of the planning evaluation report.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. So the purpose of this application is to permit the severance of a residence from a farm parcel, facilitating the creation of a new lot to dispose of a resident surplus to a farming operation as a result of consolidation. Application for consent B01 2020 is a resubmission of an application that went forward last year, which was conditionally approved by the Committee of Adjustment on March 18th of 2019. As the conditions of consent were not satisfied within the required timeline, the application was deemed to be refused. So that new application request has come in from the applicants with the same lot size and orientation as was originally approved. So the proposal is approximately 90 meters of lot frontage along Calvert and a lot area of approximately 1.56 acres in size. The lands proposed to be severed contain an existing single detached dwelling, 2 drive sheds, and a garden shed. The dwelling is privately serviced, and the lands proposed to be retained include an access onto Calvert Drive. The lands to be retained, being the remnant farm parcel, are also largely in agricultural production and contain 2 barns and a concrete silo, or originally did at time of the original application. The lands proposed to be retained appear to have access from Calvert Drive. So the provincial policy statement, county official plan, and local official plan generally permit lot creation in agricultural areas to dispose of these types of dwellings, subject to evaluation criteria. Planning staff is satisfied that farm consolidation has been achieved and that the home is of a sufficient age to fit into the criteria required. The applicant has requested that the 2 drive sheds and garden shed be retained with the dwelling. The township's chief building official at the time of original approval recommended that the accessory buildings be inspected by a qualified professional to confirm structural soundness and to ensure the buildings meet the minimum standards for residential accessory buildings. Planning staff recommend that this condition be maintained if the subject application is approved. The chief building official also at the time recommended that the 2 barns located on the retained lands be demolished, as they do not appear structurally sound, nor did they meet the MDS setback if the dwelling is severed onto a separate lot. It was also required that the concrete silo be demolished. These matters were included as original conditions of approval to ensure the work was completed. And although staff have heard from the applicant that these structures have been removed. I am recommending that it be maintained, the condition be maintained, just to ensure compliance, as it will require the township to sign off on these types of things. Planning staff note that the original severance application required a rezoning of the subject lands from surplus dwelling or to surplus dwelling, and the retained lands to the agricultural only zone. The rezoning application was approved by council on December 16, 2019, and the associated bylaw was given first and second reading at this time. Third reading was postponed until a copy of the registered plan was provided to the township, which since has been received. Planning staff are recommending that this condition be maintained, however, to ensure that third reading is given and the rezoning is completed. Planning staff previously recommended that the severed lot be reduced in size to prevent the loss of cropland. And planning staff continue actually to recommend a reduction in lot area, and that this condition of consent be included for this purpose. Planning staff are recommending that a reduced frontage of 52 meters be approved. The recommended reduction to the width of the lot proposed to be severed would result in a lot area of approximately 0.96 acres. It is the continued opinion of staff that this reduced lot area would be more consistent with the policy direction with respect to keeping parcel size to a minimum for the intended use and prevent the loss of agricultural land. With the reduction of this lot frontage, planning staff would be satisfied that the criteria for the severance of the surplus farm dwelling on the lands can be met or appropriately addressed via conditions of consent. The application was circulated to the prescribed agencies as well as the surrounding property owners, and a sign was posted on the property. So the original recommendations of the chief building official are as follows, and they have been reviewed and approved by the current chief building official as well. We require proof of adequate and potable water supply. The owner will be required to have a qualified installer provide a location drawing and report on the condition of the septic system, and any remedial upgrades that are required. The existing barns on the lands to be retained be demolished and the debris removed from the property. The concrete silo be demolished and removed from the property to the satisfaction of the township. The accessory buildings on the severed lands be reviewed by a qualified individual with small buildings qualifications to confirm the buildings are structurally sound and meet the minimum requirements for a residential accessory structure, as well as the habitability of the dwelling be confirmed. The township's chief drainage superintendent indicated that the drains are affected by the severance and revised schedules of assessment will be required. The county engineer advised that the owners will be required to dedicate lands up to 15 meters from the center line of construction of Calvert Drive to the County of Middlesex across both the retained and severed parcels for the purposes of road widening if the right-of-way is not already to that width. The St. Clair Region Conservation indicated no concerns with the proposed severance. And as of the date of the report and the date of this meeting, no comments or concerns have been received by the public regarding the proposal. My recommendation this evening is that application for consent B01-2020 be granted subject to conditions. I've included all of the original conditions that were approved from the original severance. As well, I have added number 5, that the applicant revise the area of the lot to be severed to approximately 0.39 hectares with a frontage of approximately 52 meters. I won't go through all of the conditions, as council or committee is quite aware of all that they are, and the applicants have received a copy from the previous application and are quite aware of what they are.
Okay. Thank you, Erin. Patrick, do you have any comments you'd like to add?
I guess just the one that we would still like to apply for the larger size severance, which was approved the first time. And I guess that's the only comment for me right now.
Okay.
I have a question, Deputy Mayor.
Yes, Councillor Clark.
To Patrick through the Deputy Mayor. When you look at the frontage right now, your original request back in 2019 was for the 90-meter frontage. The planner's recommending 52. Council previously approved the 90 meters. But I have a question for you. Currently, when I look at the property from the road, to the right is the extra frontage, if you will. So my question to you is that parcel that you want included in with the 52 meters, is that currently being cropped?
It is currently being cropped just because we knew that we had to come back to the Committee of Adjustment again. So rather than having the land sit bare and gather weeds, we thought it would be in best practice to crop it for this year.
Thank you.
Okay. Do you have any questions, Councillor McKinnon? You're on mute.
Sorry about that. Through you, Deputy Mayor Hendricks, to Patrick, is it your intention to plant shrubs or something like that along the lot line to delineate where the residential lot line would end and the plowed or the agriculture land would be?
We would like to do that just to tidy up the property a little bit and to create, I guess, a little bit of a lot line there. So there's no question about where the lot line stands with what would presumably be the future.
Yeah, so a buffer area.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. My question was about the accessory outbuildings. You have the larger one there, and it kind of makes an L out of what would be an ordinarily a rectangular lot.
Yeah.
I'm wondering about if that was not feasible to keep that. Would you square up the lot?
Well, I think with the larger size lot, it squares it up nicely as is. The building itself, when we did have the building official out to see it, said that the building was in good shape. So I'd hate to see that torn down because I think it does add to the rural property.
Okay.
Yeah. And just one more comment that we did have the registered plan submitted, but it was a day late, and that's what brought about us missing the deadline.
Okay.
So I have an additional question, Deputy Mayor Hendricks.
Yes, go ahead.
So Patrick, so there's currently an outbuilding there that is being requested to be removed, and you're saying that you would like to keep that building?
No, that's the outbuilding on the plans to be severed.
Okay, so what is that outbuilding? Can you describe that outbuilding to me?
Yes, the outbuilding was used as a shop or a drive shed. And that's where, you know, as we've heard so many times already in this planning meeting, would be a great place and already in place to park a trailer or a boat or something like that. So that is on the lands to be retained. All of the buildings that are on the farm property still have been removed.
Okay, so there's no stalls in that building of any kind for livestock?
No.
As of this time, the stalls have not been removed, though I would argue that it would be not suitable for livestock at this point.
No, yeah.
So maybe I would suggest to the planner that that should be a condition so that it's consistent with these other people that did have hobby farms and one pony, and we asked them to tear the buildings down or have them removed.
Yes, I believe it was a condition last time that the stalls be removed to the satisfaction of the building official.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, are there any more comments? I guess at this point, we have no oral or written submissions already, correct, Aaron? So I guess what we would do now, Patrick, is go to a 5-minute recess so that members of the public can contact us if they have anything to add.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So I guess I'll ask Jen, did we get any input from the public?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. So the process now is we have a recommendation to pass a resolution with an adjusted lot. Does somebody want to move that? Betty Ann or Sue? Sue, you're muted right now.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll recommend we approve it as presented by the planner.
Okay, Betty Ann?
I feel that the application should be granted the way it was presented in the first place. I have no problem with a 90 meter frontage. I would prefer to see the lot line stay square rather than jutted out. So my preference would be that the condition number 5 be removed and it be granted as approved in the first place.
Okay. I guess since I'm the tiebreaker here, I agree with Betty Ann. I think having a piece like that is not really very farmable, given the size of the equipment. You'd have to back a sprayer into that to spray it. Given the size of the sprayers these days and the size of the equipment, I think it would just cause less confusion to have a squared off lot. So
I'll make that motion that it be granted as first approved with the 90 meter frontage and condition 5 be removed.
Okay. Okay. Can I second that?
Yes.
Or, okay.
Yes.
Okay. Seems odd as chair to be able to do anything. Okay. All in favor?
Discussion.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
So I guess the reason I was supporting the planner is because any of the other applications that we have not supported the planner where they're outside the envelope being recommended, it's because no acreage has been taken out of production. And that's why I specifically asked if that's being cropped right now. So that's why I support the planner.
Okay.
You can go ahead and take your vote.
Okay. All in favor? And opposed? Okay. I think because this is a virtual meeting, I should be reading the whole resolution. So bear with me. It's got 16 conditions. Resolved that the application for consent B01 2020 by Patrick and Stephanie Sanders be granted, subject to the following conditions: that the certificate of consent under section 5342 of the Planning Act shall be given within 1 year of the date of the notice of the decision. The request for the certificate of consent shall be accompanied by a written submission that details how each of the conditions of consent has been fulfilled. 2, that the applicant's solicitor submits an undertaking in a form satisfactory to the Secretary Treasurer of the Committee of Adjustment to register an electronic transfer of title exactly consistent with the acknowledgement and direction executed by the applicants and the decision of the Committee of Adjustment. Number 3, that any outstanding property taxes for the severed and retained lots of consent B01-2020 be paid in full. 4, that if required, the owner provide road widening dedications to the County of Middlesex of up to 15 meters from the center line of Calvert Drive, County Road 10, to the satisfaction of the county engineer. 5, that a preliminary survey showing the lands being severed, any required land dedication, and the location of all buildings and structures, including their setbacks from the property lines and the location of the private water well and septic system, be submitted to the satisfaction of the township prior to being deposited at the land registry office. 6, that 2 paper copies and 1 digital copy of the reference plan be submitted to the satisfaction of the township. 7, that a zoning bylaw amendment that recognizes the residential use of the retained lot of consent B01-2020 and prohibits new dwellings on the severed lot of consent B01-2020 be in full force and effect. 8, that the existing accessory buildings on the severed lands be inspected by a qualified professional and the inspection report be provided to the township for determination of structural adequacy and/or identification of any remedial works that may be required to bring the existing buildings into conformity with the minimum construction standards for a residential accessory building or be removed to the satisfaction of the township. 9, that the barns on the retained lands be demolished and the debris removed from the property to the satisfaction of the township. 10, that the concrete silo on the retained lands be demolished and the debris removed from the property to the satisfaction of the township. 11, that unless replaced, the existing septic system is to be inspected by a qualified septic installer and the inspection report be provided to the township for determination as to any replacement or remedial works that may be required. The qualified septic installer shall also confirm the location of the existing septic system and confirm that the clearance distance from the septic system to the well is adequate. 12, that the habitability of the single detached dwelling be confirmed to the satisfaction of the township. 13, that an adequate and potable water supply be demonstrated to exist to the satisfaction of the township. 14, that drain assessment schedules be revised in accordance with the Drainage Act as amended to be commissioned and paid for by the owners to the satisfaction of the township. 15, that independent accesses to the land to be severed and the land to be retained are provided to the satisfaction of the township. And 16, that the owner enter into a severance agreement with the township in order to advise future owners of the severed lot of consent B01-2020 of normal farm practices occurring in the area as outlined in the Farming and Food Production Protection Act 1998 as amended. As the application is consistent with the provincial policy statement, conforms to the official plans of both the Township of Adelaide Metcalfe and the County of Middlesex, and subject to condition 8, the requirements of the Township of Adelaide Metcalfe zoning bylaws are satisfied. Still in favor, Betty Ann? Are you awake?
Yes.
Okay.
So just to clarify, you're in your conditions, you're requesting that all outbuildings be removed?
That's on the barns, as I understand it. On the farm side of it. Have you got the picture of the lot?
So the building that Patrick mentioned that he wants to retain, are you proposing that be removed? Or are you proposing it stay?
It's even in the
original
planner's drawing, it stays. It's
good. Okay. I just wanted to make sure there was no ambiguity there. Okay.
Okay. Is there anything else for this matter? If not, I thank Patrick for attending.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And I believe we can bring the mayor back.
Yes.
Okay. So I assume we're at the end of the committee of adjustment?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, so have we done the motion to end the committee of adjustment?
No, I thought I'd leave that for you. I've done enough talking.
I'll move that, Mayor Smith.
Okay, so we got a mover to resolve that the committee of adjustment be closed at 8:08 p.m. and council reconvene in regular session. And that's seconded by Councillor McKinnon. All those in favor?
In favor.
And that's carried. Okie dokie. So next up, we have two more applications, and those are zoning bylaw amendments, and those are not with the committee of adjustment. Those are public meetings for council. So we need to have a motion now to resolve that the public meeting to your zoning bylaw amendment Z07-2020, and that's for 3492 Egremont Drive, and Z08-2020 for 1584 Melwood Drive, be opened at 8:09.
So moved.
Councilor McKinnon, seconded by Deputy Mayor Hendricks. All those in favor?
In favor.
And that's carried. Alrighty, so do we have our first applicant there that said 07-2020, and that's Joel and Stephanie Wilcox? I forget, are they coming?
No, they're not coming tonight.
Okie dokie. But before we have this long speech that I really want to record and just push a button so I don't have to do it all the time. So it's the purpose of the following public hearings for Adelaide Metcalfe Council are to give the members of council as well as the general public an opportunity to hear all interested persons with respect to the application before council this evening. The public is advised that comments expressed in written material presented are a matter of public record available for full disclosure. If a person or public body files an appeal of decision made this evening to the local planning appeal tribunal without having made a written submission to council, the tribunal may dismiss the appeal. If you wish to be notified of the decision, please contact Jennifer Turk, or clerk, by email or call her at the office. Alrighty, so with that, if the applicant's not with us, we'll just jump right into the planning application, or planning report. Aaron.
Thank you, Mayor Smith. So the purpose of this amendment is to implement a condition of consent imposed by the Committee of Adjustment for Consent B11 of 2019. This conditionally severed a parcel of land with an area of approximately 2 acres in order to accommodate the disposal of a surplus farm dwelling. The application proposes to amend the zoning of the lot to be severed from general agriculture to surplus dwelling in order to recognize the residential use of the lands. The application also proposes to amend the zoning of the lot to be retained from general agriculture to the agriculture only zone to prohibit new residential uses on the lands. The portion of the lot to be retained that is within the environmental protection zone will remain unchanged. The subject property is located within our agricultural area land use designation of our official plan. The provincial policy statement, county official plan, and local official plan generally permit lot creation in agricultural areas to dispose of a dwelling surplus to a farming operation. The proposed zone change for the lot to be severed to surplus dwelling will recognize the disposal of the surplus farm dwelling and will limit the range of agricultural uses permitted on the lands. Planning staff is satisfied that this zone is appropriate for the proposed use, and as such, planning staff support this change. Excuse me. The proposed zone change for the lot to be retained to agriculture only will prohibit the establishment of any new residential uses on the land. We are satisfied that this zone change is appropriate for the remnant farm parcel and support the change. An implementing zoning bylaw has been drafted for council's consideration this evening. The application was circulated to all prescribed agencies and property owners. The county engineer advised of no concerns with the application, and no other comments have been received by either the public or other agencies. So my recommendation this evening for this application is approval, and further that council proceed with the first and second reading of the implementing bylaw, with the final reading to be provided once a deposited reference plan has been received to the satisfaction of the township.
Okay, thank you, Aaron. And since the applicant's not here, we'll jump straight to council's comments. Is there any questions or comments at all from members of council?
No.
Okay, seeing none, we'll go back to our Jeopardy music for a 5-minute intermission, and maybe we'll have some callers come in. If we were a telecom, like one of those telethon things where we're raising money, we are not doing a great job. So let's see how this goes. Another 5 minutes. Alrighty, and we're back. And did we get anyone calling in or wanting to join us on this one? No. Okie dokie. So we have the recommendation for approval, and then that it's the first and second reading of the bylaw be implemented, I believe. So the bylaws will be read at the end of the meeting. Do you have a mover and seconder for the recommendation, which is for approval? Councillor McKinnon and Deputy Mayor Hendricks. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor? Sue, you're on mute, but I don't see you jumping up and down, and maybe you had your hand up. I'm not sure, but we'll say you're in favor.
Can you hear me?
I can now.
Okay, thank you. I'm in favor.
Excellent. Okay, and that was approved, and I have nobody to talk to because the applicant's not here. Okay, so we'll move on to the next one, which is Z08 2020 Creekside Egg Company Inc. and Gerald Sanders and Anna Sanders, and then the authorized agent, which is Jonathan Burnett from BHB. That's for 1584 Melwood Drive. And I assume we have somebody from there going to jump on here.
Rob Langford's here.
There we go. Rob, are you able to, you're on mute right now. Are you able to hear us? We can get him unmuted. There we go.
I can hear.
Excellent. Welcome, Rob. So we're going to have Aaron go through the report, and then following that, I'll ask you if you have anything you'd like to add, and then council will ask any questions, and then following that, we'll do another 5-minute recess to allow any members of the public to call in or join us to ask any questions or make any comments, and then we'll make the decision. Okay, so Aaron, I'll take it away and you can go through the report.
Thank you, Mayor Smith. So the purpose of this, sorry, every time it opens, it closes my screen. There we go. The purpose of this zoning amendment is to rezone a portion of the subject lands from the general agricultural zone and the rural industrial zone to a site-specific rural industrial RM-9 zone. The effect of this proposal is to recognize the expansion of the existing facility as it is expanded outside of what we would consider or typically consider a permitted use under the general agricultural zone. The application proposes to rezone approximately 10 hectares of the subject lands, which encompasses the current operation and allows for additional area of expansion in the future. The rezoning also seeks to recognize an accessory office and retail area of 160 square meters and a height of 12.5 meters for the newly built warehouse and office building. The subject lands are approximately 79 hectares in size and are located on the north side of Melwood Drive. The property contains an existing business known as Crooked Creek Acres and a number of buildings and structures associated with this commercial business. Staff note that the applicant has also submitted an application for site plan approval, which includes a 12,000 square foot warehouse, a 3,200 square foot attached lean-to, and a number of additional storage bins. The warehouse also includes a 1,600 square foot office attached to the structure. Council may recall that this property was subject to a rezoning in July of last year. The application rezoned a 6 hectare portion of the property from the general agricultural zone to the rural industrial zone to recognize the expanding operation. At the time that formalized site plan drawings were submitted earlier this year, it was determined that an additional rezoning would be required as the proposal did not fit in within the boundaries of what was previously rezoned, and several additional provisions needed to be acknowledged through the site-specific zone. The application was circulated to all prescribed agencies and surrounding landowners. The township's chief building official advised of no concerns with the application, but it did indicate that revised site plan drawings will be required to be submitted for review prior to the registration of the site plan agreement to ensure the additional bins, updated zoning chart, and building code requirements are captured. The township's drainage superintendent advised of no concerns, and the St. Clair Region Conservation Authority advised of no concerns as the application proposed rezoning falls outside of the regulated area. Since the writing of this report, staff have received comments by Fred and Gail Cahill, who are located just east of the property, regarding the potential impact of noise on their business. Planning staff advised the Cahills that under the regulations of the Planning Act, their main concern was primarily to do with noise associated with the expansion of the existing business. And I did advise the Cahills that under the regulations of the Planning Act, we do not have the ability to impose conditions through the rezoning process, including limitations on noise or hours of operation for businesses. In regards to the evaluation of the application, planning staff are satisfied that the policies of the PPS, the county official plan, and the local official plan are being met through this application. In regards to the policies within the Adelaide Metcalfe official plan specifically, these types of facilities are typically located outside of settlement areas in proximity to agricultural uses due to the type and volume of traffic generated, as well as any potential noise and dust impacts. The use is existing and staff is unaware of any existing adverse impacts on neighboring land uses, being predominantly lands and agricultural production. The use is located on a local road and already contains access onto Melwood Drive. Therefore, staff are satisfied that the proposed rezoning is in conformity with our official plan. Specifically in regards to the increase in permitted office accessory space from 30 meters squared to 160 meters squared, staff are of the opinion that this increase is appropriate given the administrative space required to run an agricultural operation of this size. The area would also allow for expansion of the business and negate the need for additional rezonings in the future. Staff recommend that the site-specific zone recognize the increased height of the warehouse and office of 12.5 meters. The RM zone limits building heights to 10 meters. However, staff feel the increase is appropriate given the agriculturally related nature of the operation and proximity to other agricultural structures that are not subject to these height restrictions, i.e. the grain elevators and the silos. Planning staff recommend that the height provision in the site-specific RM zone limit the increase to the newly constructed warehouse and office only. Further, staff note that the submitted site plan indicates a portion of the rezoned area shall remain in agricultural production, which is not a permitted use in the RM zone. Therefore, staff recommend that the site-specific RM-9 zone add agriculture as a permitted use to maintain the excess lands for agricultural production. As the proposal meets the remaining requirements of the RM zone, staff are satisfied that the rezoning of a portion of the subject lands to recognize this expanding operation is appropriate. I have crafted an implementing bylaw, which is up for council's consideration this evening. And based on my evaluation, my recommendation for this application is approval at this time.
Okay, thank you so much, Aaron. Rob, do you have anything else you'd like to add for council's consideration?
No.
Okay, thank you. Is there any questions or comments from members of council? Yeah, Councillor McKinnon.
Through you, Mayor Curtis, to Aaron. The neighbors will be given an opportunity to express any concerns they may have in regards to noise once the site plan is presented. Is that correct in the agreement?
Through Mayor Smith to Councillor McKinnon, the site plan application itself is not a public process.
Okay.
So public comments are not typically received in that sort of process. However, I did indicate to Fred and Gail that as planners and municipal staff, we are very limited in our ability to impose restrictions on agricultural businesses, as many of these activities are protected under the Farming and Food Production Protection Act. So I did say that I suggested that if noise does become a significant issue, that they contact OMAFRA. They actually have the authority to impose restrictions if those activities and nuisances fall outside what would be typically a normal farm practice.
Thank you, Aaron.
Okay, is there any other questions or comments? I'm seeing Deputy Hendrick shaking her head no. Councillor Clark, do you have any questions at all?
No, I do not.
Okay, thank you. Okay, with that, I guess we'll go into another 5-minute recess to allow any members of the public to call in. And if we're all set, we'll likely be 5 minutes because it seems like that's all we have. Nobody really wants to call in. All right. We'll see you in 5 minutes. Alrighty, so we're back. Was there anyone that wanted to give any comments at all from the public? And Jennifer's shaking her head no. So that's great to hear. That makes our jobs a little easier. So we have the recommendation for approval, and that's from our planner, Aaron. Do we have a mover and seconder for that, approving the recommendation? Okay, we have Councilor McKinnon and Deputy Mayor Hendricks. Okay, is there any discussion? All those in favor?
In favor.
And that's carried.
In favor.
Excellent. Thank you, Councillor Clark. Okay, so now we just need to have a motion to resolve that the public meeting to hear zoning bylaw amendments Z07 2020 and Z08 2020 be closed at 8:35. Mover and seconder for that.
So moved.
Okay, Councillor Clark, seconded by Deputy Mayor Hendricks. All those in favor?
In favor.
And that's carried. And I was going to say to Rob that we'll now approve his bylaw, but hopefully he's still watching. He's just not on one of our little squares. So we have the bylaws now to approve, and that's resolved that all three readings be given to bylaws number 42 2020, which is the zoning bylaw amendment for Wilcox, and then bylaw number 43 of 2020, zoning bylaw amendment for Creekside Ag, and that the bylaws be signed by the mayor and clerk and the corporate seal be attached. Mover and seconder, that's Councillor McKinnon and Deputy Mayor Hendricks. All those in favor?
In favor.
And that's carried. All right, Rob, so that that bylaw was just approved. So if there is nothing else on my motion sheets, it says the next motion is to resolve to adjourn, but I also have that our future planning meeting will likely be scheduled sometime in September. Does that sound about right, Jen? Excellent. So I think overall this meeting went well. We'll maybe throw in some music during that 5-minute interval so we can have a little relaxing time doing that instead of just sitting in some blank space. And I think overall it went really well considering this is our first meeting doing this, and we had our, a little bit of a dry run yesterday to see how it went, but I think this went very well. Other than, the time that we lost 2 council members. Forgot about that. And just so everyone, council members, I'm going to send you on an email from Councillor Warwick or Mayor Warwick from Thames Centre. She was watching us because she's just like me and likes to watch council meetings live on YouTube. And she sent me in 2 jokes. So I'm going to forward those on to you so you can have a good little laugh before you go to bed tonight. So with that, if there's nothing else, hopefully everyone that's watching understands that we do have a little bit of fun, and it's not all strictly business in Adelaide Metcalfe. We like to have a little chuckle. So we need a motion to resolve that the meeting be adjourned at 8:37. Okay, Councillor McKinnon and Deputy Mayor Hendricks. All those in favor?
In favor.
And that's carried. Okay, thank you so much.